and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is part 3 and the final part of my Springtime Path series. And in this video we're going to add the final touches to the painting and add all the flowers and the puddle in the road. If you want to follow along with traditional materials, check out part 1 in this series where I have a list of all the paint, canvas, and brushes that I use. The app that we're going to be using is Infinite Painter for Android. And I wanted to go ahead and start out by adding some highlights to the pathway. And you can just go ahead and take some yellow color, some yellow ochre, and add that onto the pathway to look like the sunlight is shining through the weeds on the road and through the trees, and it just gives it kind of a really pretty look to the pathway when you do that. And you can add a little bit of some white also, and if you're following along traditionally, these colors would be yellow ochre with some white acrylic gesso to it. You don't want pure white just yet. But you would go ahead and add that with the flat oil brush or the old oil brush if you're following along in Infinite Painter. And you just want to add a little bit of some color to the pathway. And here I'm just kind of trying to add some grass stalks and maybe taller weeds to the mass of weeds in the front and also in the road, just to show that there might be some weeds growing into the road. And if you're following along traditionally, you would use your script brush, and you can use the Leo brush or the Vince brush and make it very small and just make these thin strands of grass that are poking out of the weeds. And if you're using your script brush, you can also use this to make the puddles in the road. And you would take some ultramarine blue if you're following along with your acrylics and add a bunch of white acrylic gesso and just add little puddles in the road just for some interest, like there's been a shower the night before, and so there's little puddles left in the road in the morning, and you want to go ahead and smudge those out on the edge so that they look like they're in little indentations in the road there, and just kind of smooth them out. And you want to go ahead and work a little bit more on the grass. Just I'm adding just a little bit more of some flowers now. You want to go ahead and start adding the wildflowers, and I use the inky brush as the starter brush here in Infinite Painter. And what you would do if you're following along traditionally is take an old toothbrush and make a really thin mixture of your acrylic paint with water and go ahead and splatter all this paint in the grass. Now you make sure that you don't splatter it in the sky or anything, but you want to go ahead and flick your different colors into the grass, and this makes really neat wildflower patterns. And I'm doing this with the inky brush and the Dexter brush just to kind of get a look of all kinds of different wildflowers. And you can use different colors. You can use yellows, reds, blues, purples, and also kind of some magenta colors. You just want to go ahead and add these kind of where there's a dark patch in your painting there over some of the darker greens. And you want to throw in some orange right here. I'm adding a little bit of orange. And you want to go ahead and put these in kind of a zigzag pattern, just like you did with the grass, because you want to make it look connected. You don't want just blotches of paint that aren't connected. So you go ahead and just use sort of a zigzag shape for all your different colors. And then I went ahead and signed it, but if you know me and you followed me, you know that that doesn't mean that I'm through. So I went ahead and went back and decided that I needed to add a few more highlights to the painting. And I wanted to go ahead and add some highlights to the wire just to make it look a little bit lighter on there. And you can use your script brush and just make kind of real thin white lines on it. And again, it doesn't matter if it looks sort of broken, because that's the way fences look when the light is reflecting on the wire. And I'm also smudging in the puddles a little bit more, and the pathway, I just wanted them to look a little bit more smudged in. And you can do this with a dry brush technique if you're following along with your acrylics. Just take some brown paint and just run over the path a little bit, and don't use a lot of liquid for that. And you can just use the Schoolhouse chalk brush for this effect if you're following along with Infinite Painter. And then here I wanted to add a little more highlight to the wire fence and the gate that's fallen down right there. That's an old wire gate there. And I just wanted to go ahead and add it to the right side of the fence as well, and just kind of try to give it that look that wire fences have when the sunlight is glinting on them. And you would make your brush really small in order to do this. And then I wanted to add just a little bit more grass on the edges of the pathway, just to make it look like there's, it's uneven. You don't want it to look like it's mowed or anything, because this is just a natural path that people would use, and so it's not really tended like a lawn or anything like that. So you would go ahead and sort of make the edges of the grass uneven, and you can use the Pollock brush to do that, and add a few more strands of grass, just the final touches that you think this painting needs. So this is the end of my Springtime Path series, and everybody stay tuned for a brand new series coming soon. If you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions or suggestions about what you would like to see next, leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.